welcome to this week's hashtag toe to toe. I am delighted to say that this week we're joined by a man dubbed the realest YouTuber in the world. It is, of course, KSI's boxing coach, Viddal Riley. Really lovely to have you on.
Thank you.
And Andy Clarke, as always, pleasure.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you both.
Thank you.
I'm fascinated for this one because it's a very different sort of chat we're going to be having.
Yeah.
The madness has already begun, isn't it? For the
It has. We've had millions of people tuning into like the press conferences, and we haven't even got to the juicy parts yet. So it's going to be huge.
Well, the press conference took place on Monday. It was 3,000 people at the Troxy, and people were queuing from 6 a.m. in the morning or camping out.
Yeah, someone got there at 6 a.m. The doors didn't open till 5 p.m. So it goes to show people's priority list on their day.
So, what do you make of it, Andy? I mean, we're not used to this kind of level of tension.
It's like pop star hysteria. I didn't really understand anything about the YouTube world until about a year ago, maybe, and I had no idea how big it was. Absolutely none.
It's huge, man.
Their followings are incredibly dedicated and incredibly loyal. It's the same kind of you look at. Yeah, when fans would queue outside hotels for bands, when people would go nuts for people think this is a ridiculous comparison, but for the Beatles, it's that kind of thing.
Listen, I would say they are the Beatles of their of their generation on their platform. Like they're the biggest you can get. Logan Paul and KSI are together, are just their numbers speak for itself.
There's 20 million YouTube subscribers, excess of 30 million subscribers across all social media platforms. I mean, they are ridiculous numbers. Obviously, there is a lot of interest, a lot of intrigue around this fight. I'll come to you in a bit, Andy, because I know you've got your opinion. But the first tweet we'll kick off with is from Ben. He said, "What's your opinion about criticism of the fight from boxing fans?" Because there has been from the mainstream hardcore boxing fans.
There's been criticism.
Exactly.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair that they criticize it because it's something new. It's something that the traditional fans are not used to. So if something is thrown in the mix that boxing fans are not used to seeing, they will judge it and they will voice their opinion, and as they should, and they have the right to. Some will say that it's not safe what KSI and Logan are getting themselves into. But at the same time,
that's because they've only had one.
They've
given their license.
KSI's had 2 white qualifiers. Logan's had 1 white qualifier, and now they're given the tools that people that have been dedicating themselves to the craft for years use, and that is a dangerous thing. But they're having the same camp that world champions would have also. So we're trying to balance it out and get them as close to professional standard as possible, and that's my job. Yeah.
There have been eyebrows raised. You yourself have been very sceptical over this fight.
Yeah, my objection, if you like, to it came when they were licensed as professionals, because I don't think they should be. I think you need to earn that status, and I don't think they have. And they would never get licensed here, but they've been licensed in California. But my objection ends there, because the first fight was a huge success, obviously. This second one, in terms of numbers and audience, will be a huge success. People want to see it. For me, as someone who follows and covers professional boxing and amateur boxing, this is not professional boxing, even though in name it is, and it's not amateur boxing either. It's a celebrity white collar fight, and there is nothing wrong with that. There are plenty of those down the years. It's not for me. I don't watch those. I don't not watch them. I just don't watch them in the same way that I wouldn't watch something else that's not really my bag. And if you're in the same boat as me, then you can easily let this sail past you without allowing it to really upset you.
Unless you've got kids.
Exactly. It's a generation thing, though, isn't it?
It is. And fans are very protective of their sport. Mm-hmm. But this, I think, if you're struggling with it, I think the way I kind of view it now is that this is not professional boxing, even though this is what it's being described as. For me, it isn't. And okay.
Out of interest, the YouTube fans that are going to watch it, that will buy it, will they be watching it for the fight, the boxing, or are they watching it for the personalities?
They'll be watching it for the personalities, and then the boxing second. Whatever these guys do, people follow them, whether it be music, whether they hold a charity football game and sell out a football stadium, anything they want to do, they can stare into the camera and not speak for 10 minutes.
That's incredible.
And people will watch it. So they're not there for the boxing, they're there for the personalities, but along the way, as you see the person you look up to or the person that you follow training, and you know, you see him getting better and you see his opponent getting better, I'm sure it starts to change their eyes over into the sport of boxing as well, and they will want to learn what their idols are learning. So it has a knock-on effect in many ways.
Well, Faison says, why should hardcore boxing fans watch KSI Logan Paul 2?
Because they should see how building a brand can accelerate your career. Now, building a brand is extremely important, especially in this day and age, because that's what people connect to. You know, being talented at what you do isn't enough to become a household name. It isn't enough to transcend your sport. Whereas back in the day, everyone was judged on their skill level. Now it's about how many people will watch your skills, how many people can you get to see what you deliver and what you give to your sport. And KSI and Logan are showing that boxing hasn't been their sport, but we can get, you know, the likes of Sky and DAZN and all these networks that are normally involved in only the biggest fights, professional fights, want to be involved with us. And it goes to show that we're changing. It's something that it's a pioneering thing, and as we sit here and talk about it now, we won't realize the history that's going to be made of this event until the next 5 or 10 years.
But is there a danger that building the brand, as you say, becomes bigger than being talented?
Possibly, but in anything that he's right. He's absolutely right. Being good isn't enough, particularly in boxing, where you have to sell yourself.
Yeah,
It's not like playing for a football team where however many thousand people will come, no matter how good or bad they are.
Yeah,
You've got to sell yourself. So having great skills is one thing, but having a profile is another. You know, who was a better fighter, Nassim Hamed or Pernell Whitaker?
Yeah.
But Nassim Hamed's profile
It's
was
the
absolutely
personality.
off scale.
Yeah.
And it's a huge part of it. And that's a good point. It's a good point you make about people can learn from that, because
of course.
I mean, we had Devin Haney in a couple of weeks ago, and he's worked really hard at that side of it himself.
Yeah, I like Devin. Me and Devin have known each other for a while,
and he's going to
built
box on that card.
Devin has built his
box
brand
on that card because he knows.
Devin's young
the
too.
eyes that are going to be on it.
Devin's what, 20 or 21? I think he's year below me, but he's going to be open to it because he's that age where, you know, you're just open to trying new things and you just want to build.
And he's got a big following on social media as well.
Yeah, he's got a big following, and that makes a huge difference because now you're selling the tickets, you know. But we always hear in boxing about people struggling to sell tickets and they can't get no one to come out to watch them, and that is not because they can't block a jab perfectly. That's just because not enough people know they can block that jab perfectly. So what we do, you know, Logan, KSI, myself, is we build the brand and we get people to engage with us, and no one can take anyone's talent away. If you're a talented boxer, you have your talent. Don't rest on that, you know, build off that, and you keep your talent and you'll gain your following, and then you'll have a business that's booming.
Oliver asked, do you enjoy being part of the YouTube boxing scene?
Yeah, very much so, because it's opened my eyes to new things. I've built my brand differently by being surrounded with the top guys in the YouTube game, you know. Certain things that, like certain times when you tweet and like times you post a picture or stories that you hashtag and stuff that we think is very, you know, pointless in a way or tedious, make such a huge difference. And when these brands start rolling in and talking about how you want to give you this much to put this post on your story and this much on your Twitter, it's like, okay, maybe it's not tedious anymore. Like it becomes a business, and you can sit at home and not move and just put out a bunch of stories and get paid for it, and I'm sure everyone would like to do that at some point. So,
what's the game plan going to be?
In terms of to win this fight, well, last time we saw KSI spend a lot of time on the outside against a taller opponent with a good jab, and that's a bad recipe. So this time it's about being more of a bully and putting down our authority and not letting him fight at the pace he wants to fight at. But that's all I can give you right now.
You watched the first fight?
Actually, no, I didn't.
No, you should watch it. It is entertaining. It's not a high-skilled fight that you'd be used to seeing, but you will see determination, grit, and a switch around as well. Everyone loves a comeback, so if you like a comeback, you should watch the first one.
Not in full. I have seen bits of it.
What happens if KSI loses?
Mm-hmm.
This is the question from Alan. He says, if KSI loses, how will he handle the loss? Have you even thought about that?
No, I haven't. I don't think about if he loses, what will he do. I think about how to not lose. Once you lose, you deal with that. Then, you know, if you lose, then you say, okay, this is what we're going to do from here. But right now, 5 weeks away from the fight, my focus is how to not be in that position, and not how will we do with it when we get there type thing. So, I don't know, but
how do you think he would handle it?
He'd say we need a third. That's what would happen. I know what he's like anyway. He's competitive, and he would say we need a third fight.
Do you think he'd deserve a third fight if he loses in this sort of?
It would depend on the manner of the defeat, really.
Yeah, perfect answer. Really, it does. It depends. We had a draw. If we have a close win, if KSI wins a close decision, we might have to go into a third anyway. Because a draw, a close win, it's like someone needs to leave their stamp on this rivalry.
Biz asked if KSI wins, who's next? Are you already thinking that this is more? You want more? You want to keep going?
He wants to fight Jake Paul. He's like set as a goal in his head to just eliminate those brothers out of the community and humiliate them and make them a meme. So Logan is the focus, but I know if JJ gets the opportunity to fight Jake, and it will make sense, it will happen.
Andy, your response to that, do you think that is a wise move, or should he steer clear from professional boxers for now?
Well, that's not professional boxing, because he'll, in my view, because if he wins this fight and then he fights another person in the same field who's from the same background,
then it's okay.
Then it's okay, because it's fair. He's not going to get cleaned out and badly hurt. But to actually, and this is my point, to actually be, for me, and I don't decide on all matters, but for me to classify them as professional fighters, they would either have needed a good amateur background, a good boxing background, to kind of qualify them to earn the right to be pro, or, because you do get people who turn pro without that, or they then show the commitment to the kind of longevity and have fights against proper professionals after this. But I would not recommend, and I'm sure you wouldn't either, that they do that.
No.
I was
so that's
say
the only next move they can make, is to fight someone from a similar background where it's a level playing field. But for me, again, that would be celebrity white collar, not professional boxing.
Because I was going to ask you, what do you think it'd take to convince you that they could have a career in this, a proper career?
Well, they'd have to prove it. They'd have to get in there on proper shows. Look, this is a proper show, but they'd have to get in there against established professionals for whom this is their livelihood and this is their living, and this is something they've dedicated themselves to for years. But I don't recommend that they do it. I don't want to see them do it. There's no part of me that wants to see them go in there with a proper fighter like you and get badly knocked out. I don't want to see that.
No, neither.
I don't want to see that happen to anyone.
Neither do I. You know, we're looking at this fight is going to be held as a cruiserweight professional fight. You know, I'm a cruiserweight professional myself, and I wouldn't put either of them in there with me. No. You know, who's been boxing for 15 years.
Exactly.
But that's about the people around you should stop you from making certain decisions like that. And he does have those people around him, so I don't think you will see that happen. But you may see another pro fight against someone who's on the same level.
I think it's going to be an interesting night for you too, because
very interesting.
You don't really know, do you, yet? Because you don't really know how either of them are going to respond when they get hit for the first time with no head guards, small gloves. It's
that thing that our body does, is fight or flight, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're either going to stand toe to toe and trade out of panic, or they're both going to stay away from each other for a bit and think, okay, let's reevaluate. Let's reevaluate our game plan. But that's why the person who does the fundamentals properly will win the fight.
Finally, because we are running out of time, Daniel says, what makes KSI a better boxer than Logan?
His IQ. You could say you don't know how much Logan knows, but I do know how long Logan's been boxing, and I do know how long it takes to know something up here and actually let your body do it in the ring. KSI has boxed for longer, so he has the capacity to learn more and actually deliver it physically as well. So I'll say his advantage is his experience in the sport. He's been in the sport longer.
Andy, what do they have to do to impress you on the night?
Oh, they don't. But this is my point. They don't have to do anything to impress me. I'm not the audience.
You're just taking it for what it is.
Yeah. They don't have to do anything to impress me. It's not about that. It's just, for me, it's just they shouldn't be boxing as pros. This is not professional boxing. They're not professional standard. That's my only objection to it. Other than that, this fight is not for me. I'm not of that generation or of that audience, so impressing me has got to be the least of their worries.
And your opinion is very valid. Thank you both. We've got loads more to talk about on the podcast, which will be available on iTunes later on. Thank you very much, both, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.